Oftentimes it can be really difficult to know how to express yourself in a relationship without it turning into like a huge blowout fight. Some easy tips to remember while you're communicating with a loved one is using I statements instead of you statements. One great way to kind of think of this would be saying, I feel like I'm not being heard, versus a you statement, which is, you are not listening to me. You can kind of hear the difference compared to the I statement, which keeps the focus on you and not as much as a blaming or reason for your partner to become very defensive at you. So that's one little easy tip. Another one is, they always say, think about how the other person is feeling, right? Take a walk in their shoes. And as trivial or, how common that saying is, it really is true. Using that active listening ear to really hear where your partner is coming from, without judgment is super important too. There's always going to be biases or judgment that come along whenever someone is trying to tell you how they feel or how something transpired. And the most important thing you can do is really sit there and listen. And if you are the one communicating your feelings, it's one thing to be angry and it's another thing to be violent, right? So you can feel those emotions, but being able to communicate them effectively without starting an argument is the most important thing. Whenever I think about expressing, your emotions in a healthy way with a partner, it's whenever I think about expressing emotions at all, right? I tend to think about the worst ones, the ones that, you're going back and forth, you're arguing, you're fighting, and things may be said that you don't mean, or maybe you do mean them, but you didn't mean to communicate them in the way that you express them. So another easy way to kind of, reel that all back in is to take some time apart for a minute, take a pause. Maybe you need to write down in a journal or on a piece of paper exactly what you're feeling. And then kind of think about how the other person might, receive this information. Is this the way that you want them to interpret what you're saying? Most times, a healthy communicating sort of relationship with expressing one's emotions back and forth, it wants to, you want to be more graceful with it, right? You don't want it to be this extreme blow-up argument. Wouldn't it be better if you were able to communicate some of these feelings, thoughts, emotions, all of these things in a more peaceful, understanding way?